Hi, this is Joe Speaks Truth. Just 3 years ago, New York City was placed under the harshest lockdowns out of the whole country. While things seem that they're going back to normal, I want to invite you all to listen to the untold stories of the many New Yorkers that had to survive lockdowns and vaccine mandates.
Hello everyone, this is Joe Speaks Truth, and today with me I have Amaya, who is currently in school to be a nurse and has been fired from work because of the mandates. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing okay as well. Thank you for asking. So, I wanted to ask you, how was your life prior to 2020?
Well, prior to 2020, I was 2022. Well, I was 22. I had just moved back to New York. I'm originally from New York. I used to live there for about 11 years of my life. I moved to Florida, and then about till right before my 22nd birthday, I decided to move back to New York with my dad. I wanted to start school that fall, spring, just kind of, doing my 20s in New York. And it was fine. I was, making money. I really liked my new job. It was perfect. Everything was good. Even applied to school for that fall, for 2020 fall, and everything was fine. And then the shutdown happened, and just kind of like shaked everything up because I lost my job. My dad, he was part of the MTA, and he also kind of didn't get furloughed, but his hours went down too. So we all kind of was just in the home, all kind of just going through it together. And they just had a different response than I did to the pandemic.
So what was your response? Like when they said, oh, it's a global pandemic, we have to shut down everything. Did you actually believe? Because, I don't blame anybody for initially believing anything or believing everything that the media was saying because, it was fresh. No one knew what was happening. I don't even blame people for initially believing anything. Pandemics have happened before, so why not? So what was your initial reaction since you said you had a different one than your family or whatever?
Well, it's interesting because I was raised always to be questioning everything. So for me, when it initially happened, I heard about, let's go back to December, January. I saw that Netflix documentary on Bill Gates had about pandemics, right? And I was just watching it. And then I heard about what was happening in China. And then everything kind of clicked. I was like, wait, so I just watched a documentary about this pandemic that just came out, and then now there's a pandemic that's in China. And, at first it was scary. I heard about people dropping dead apparently and everything. But then I was just I feel like maybe we should just need to take its course. Maybe if we, lock down, not travel, maybe not the entire country, but, at first I wasn't, scared. I was, I didn't believe that it was as serious as everyone thought it was. Even from the beginning, I always thought it was, maybe just a cold, maybe just a flu, could be anything. But my parents, unfortunately, my dad just jumped right on it. He got so scared to the point where he would get home and literally take everything off in the basement, from head to toe, and then take a shower downstairs and then come upstairs, and then would want everyone to do the same thing when we got in the home. And it was just at some point getting too much. Months goes by and I'm just having to can't go to the store, have to wear a mask, have to wait online to go to the grocery store just because everyone, was crowding and stockpiling food. And it just got too much to have to deal with the fear, because his fear, played a large part of everything. It just kind of made everyone more fearful in the home. And, we wanted different rules, and I just didn't treat it the same way as everybody. So I eventually, had to move out in the middle of the pandemic. And of course, no one was working. So I found an apartment with my best friend at the time. I stayed with her for a few months, and then even so, after staying with her, it just kind of fell through just because she was also, super stringent with the pandemic, and vaccine stuff started to happen. And, then I really realized that wow, this isn't what, reality is telling us, what the media is telling us. It's completely different. And a lot of my friends didn't agree with me. So, over time I was like, man, I have to find my own place, get a new place. Then I moved again. And then I found a new spot, and then now I'm permanently in Queens. But it's been a journey. Like, since that, I had to find multiple jobs. I worked in Hoboken, Jersey. Now I work online, so I'm lucky.
Initially, so what were you actually working like before 2020 or in 2020 before they announced the pandemic? What were you actually doing for work?
I was working at a restaurant in the city called Dos Caminos, and we just got furloughed from it because it was the type of thing where they thought, like, originally it was for 2 weeks. So they just kind of like, it's like, we're just going to not put you guys on the schedule for 2 weeks and it's going to be fine. And then everything shut down for real. And then I actually ended up going back in November because we opened up again for that for the couple weeks that we were open, and then they kind of just got rid of the entire staff after that in November, and then so I had to find a new job, and I found a new job in Queens when I moved at this beer garden called Cobblestones, and I worked there for the entire summer, and unfortunately I got fired from the vaccine mandates because my boss wasn't trying to fight it, wasn't trying to argue with anybody. So he was like, if you can get the vaccine, you're going to get it. If not, you're going to, get fired.
Did any of your coworkers agree with you? Did you get to speak to anyone and say, hey, I don't think this is right, or whatever the case might be? Did that ever happen? Well, or were you the only one?
I was one of the only people I knew in my co-working circle that felt that this wasn't right. Everyone just kind of went with everything. In fact, when the week before everything shut down, because I saw everything that was happening, my boyfriend currently was like, hey, maybe you should try to apply for unemployment. Like, we may close down too, because China closed down, and 2 weeks later we decided to close down and everyone closed down. So he's like, maybe we should apply for unemployment. And I just slid that note, to my coworkers, like, hey guys, maybe because, they're kind of taking us off the schedule next week, maybe you should try to do that. And then everyone was like, no, it's not going to be like that. And then, as you know, everyone rushed to apply at one time, and I already got my stuff. I had gotten my card already. I had gotten my first couple weeks in it. Well, I knew people who were waiting for months for it. And I was always ahead of the game when it came to that. But coworkers didn't want to listen. They thought I wasn't,
Were your coworkers older than you or around the same age?
Mostly around the same age. I'm 27 now. They maybe were a few more years older and a few younger. So a lot of them weren't people that like to investigate things in general. They were more artsy people. They weren't very intellectual when it came to science and stuff like that. So they wouldn't really know things like this was happening unless, of course, it was on the news. So when I would try to post stuff to our group chat and stuff, they would just be completely dismissed or them not believing me at all. So, but thanks to my boyfriend, honestly, he was the one who was sending me this information about the pandemic and stuff like that. And if I of course we both investigated stuff and we would always send each other information, but he was the first to kind of just put that nugget in my head, things are not going good. We should try to do something about this.
Right. Why do you think that? Let me see how I can word this. I thought that when they said everything was going to get locked down, that people in their 20s, I was in my late 20s when that happened. I am now 31. I thought that people were going to rebel and be like, no, fuck you. I want to go to the club, or I want to go just live my life. I don't know. I expected the younger generations, like I guess late teenagers or people in their 20s. Yeah. Why do you think that this generation actually went along with this? Because it's just so weird and bizarre for me to I don't know, see them the way they were just acting. Because I used to go to Washington Square Park by NYU, but and a lot of those students, those younger, I guess, I don't know, adults, I guess, because I'm 31, it's not old, okay? They were so nasty to me and everyone else that was trying to tell them, hey, maybe you guys should rethink this whole mask thing and mandates. So why do you think that happened? It's just so weird. Typically, younger generation, we're supposed to rebel.
I agree. That's why I was confused too when I saw the initial we're just going to follow along. But I think it's this generation is very social media heavy, and they believe very much what the mass, what the, whatever CNN or whatever news source that they hear, or what their parents tell them, because a lot of the time they don't know. So if in social media you're hearing you have to wear a mask, or you have to get vaccinated, or this, that, and the third, you're going to follow along. But I feel like in the past, people were way more questioning with stuff, because the fear wasn't being pumped to you in front of you all the time. Like, back, even when my dad was younger, if this was happening, they would have definitely fought back, because there was no pressure to follow this much along with the group as much as it would be for social media. Like, it wouldn't be in your face. Like, you would have to, like, read the news or watch the news in order for you to see that, like, oh, you have to wear masks because of this, that, and the third. And, people would be more questioning with it. And I feel like now, because along with college professors also, like, pumping that fear with them too, in the same kind of narrative that they try to form with kids, they kind of follow along with it. And especially people being more left, and with the left being pumping the mask and the COVID vaccines and everything, they're going to follow along with it, because that's what the society is telling them to do. And a lot of people my age don't question it, because it's, again, what everyone else believes. And, unless you are raised to think critically and raised to, like, notice patterns of, like, when people aren't, telling you the truth, then you're really not going to know. And if you don't know your history, you're not going to know anything. Like, if you don't know that we've done this before in so many instances in our country, where I'm from, I'm Puerto Rican, I'm Trinidadian too. They've done that there. Like, this is nothing new. Medical intervention to control the masses is nothing new. But most young people don't know that. They're more focused on TikTok and Instagram. And like, if Instagram tells you to wear a mask and get vaccinated, you're going to do that. And that's what it is, unfortunately.
And it's funny that you mentioned that, because a lot of, like, influencers, I remember hearing stories of influencers being paid to make posts saying, hey, I took the vaccine, so you should go get it. I also remember how they were pumping that specifically using, like, rap music and other artists to pump that into the Black and Latino community specifically. Like, they said, like, Black people should be the first to get vaccinated. How do you feel about that?
When I heard that, I'm like, wow, we really do repeat history. Like, and what killed me was they're, like, cloaking it with, because we care about you this time, and we want, because, you guys, we unfortunately have a lot of health issues with high blood pressure, diabetes, and people, and being obese, and people in those groups we're dying more of COVID and getting sick. So they wanted to cloak it with, I care about you, so if you got vaccinated, you're going to be fine. Forgetting that we went through the whole syphilis situation, and with Tuskegee, and forgetting that Puerto Ricans have themselves experienced being forced vaccinated and forced sterilized. People completely forgot it, but they just completely just wanted to flip the script and make it feel like it was about taking care of them. And I feel like that's more damaging than what the past did, because before they just straight up thought you were, like, scum of the earth, and they just told you and lied to you that it was for your benefit. But now they're cloaking it with, oh, I actually care about you, and you should do this because I care about you, and we care about brown people now. And when I saw it, I'm like, wow, they're really just doing the same thing that they did before, and people have not caught on. So
right, I mean, I remember seeing this video. I think it went viral on Twitter. But it was like, they had, like, it was like in cartoon form or whatever. And they had like Black people, like, cartoons or whatever. And they had this guy, like, rapping about Black people go get the vaccine. Like, it was just right in your face. And I'm like, do people not think this is disrespectful? And if it's like a global pandemic, why are you making this about race? If allegedly it's about public health and safety, then it should just be like, whoever needs to get it, go get it. Like, what does race have to do anything? So automatically that makes me feel like, why are you guys want Black and brown people to get it first? Like, what's in those shots?
Exactly. Why were they so quick to pump it to us first, when in general everyone was equally under the same risk in what they told us.
Right, allegedly.
Allegedly under the same risk. So, but I think it's because maybe they thought that some people would have some vaccine hesitancy from, like, some people didn't know about the past experiments that we went through. So they probably wanted to do, like, cover their ass with it and basically just be like, it's not like before, like, now we care. And that's what they did. And a lot of people jumped right on it, but Also, a lot of people didn't. We were like the least vaccinated group.
Right.
So
Mhm.
it didn't work out in their favor, but it definitely made me laugh when we decided to start pumping it to minorities.
Mhm.
Like, we haven't been doing that for
Right.
centuries.
And then to even add to that, there were people, specifically, again, this is not even political. I don't care
Mhm.
whether you're leaning conservative or liberal, but this needs to be said. White liberals were going around calling anybody, and even directly black people, white supremacists, Trump supporters, because they refused to get the vaccine while claiming that they care about black lives and claiming that, oh yeah, I care about you, or whatever the case may be. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So, listen, white liberals do that with a lot of different things. But when it came with the vaccine, they were quick to be like, well, it's either this or that. If you don't support the vaccine, you must be a Republican and you must be racist and you must hate everybody because you want to kill everybody with this virus that killed what? 0.2% of the population. But if you support us and we care about black people because we want them to get vaccinated, like I straight up have been called a white supremacist and Trump supporter because I didn't want to get vaccinated. And I'm just like, what? Like, if you actually know black history, you would be sounding so silly. Like, no, of course not. Like, I'm for freedom of choice.
How can a black person be a white supremacist?
Right, how can I be a white supremacist? If I really believe that, wouldn't it be like, I want everyone to get vaccinated with something that we don't even know is tested properly? Like, if I truly believe that, it would be about me wanting everyone to get sick and everyone to, like, die. And, but they shifted the narrative because you're a bad person if you weren't wearing a mask or if you didn't get vaccinated. It was all about control, and it still is.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I noticed that you are currently in school to be a nurse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know that in 2020, when the lockdowns and everything started, people in New York City, I can't speak, I don't know what other areas in the world were doing, but in New York City specifically, people were banging pots at 7 p.m. for healthcare workers. And then from heroes, they were told months down the line or the year after, 2021, it's either you get the shot or you're not working here anymore. And no one seemed to care. No one seemed to care about that. Now, there's an obvious distrust for those that are in the healthcare industry, right? Because I feel, I don't know, I can speak for anybody else, but I will speak for myself. I feel that the healthcare industry assisted in a global scam that resulted in many people being affected, losing their livelihoods, small businesses destroyed, suicide, depression, alcohol, drug addiction, domestic violence went up, child abuse went up, abortion clinics and the liquor stores were open, but we couldn't go to work, go to church, or any of that stuff. Any normal living, even go to the beach by yourself. In certain places where was considered a crime and people were arrested for that.
Mm-hmm.
So why, seeing everything that has happened and the healthcare industry could step up, even though few doctors and nurses and some healthcare workers, they speak up, but the majority just went along just to get along. Mm-hmm. Why become a nurse after we have witnessed how the healthcare industry is like the business is kind of shady?
Oh, well, that question is because, it has to go back to my childhood because even my mom, it's funny that you mentioned that. She said that you have a healing spirit. Like, you've always been that way. Like, since you were a kid, you've always been nurturing, like, even with toys and stuff like that, playing doctor. And then one day I saw, was it the movie Gifted Hands, about this, like, black heart surgeon. Well, he wasn't a heart surgeon yet, but he is responsible for why we have open heart surgery, basically. And he was one who, like, influenced me to be like, man, I saw him, I'm like, I can do this. Like, I want to be a surgeon. Started that like that. And for years I wanted to go to medical school and be a doctor. And then, my friend ended up giving birth naturally at her home, and I was there, I saw it happen, and I basically just kind of had an epiphany and was like, I have to be a part of that. So how do I do that? I wanted to become a midwife. So I have to be a nurse in order to do that. I have to become an RN. I have to go through the whole process. And it's funny because I don't support the medical industry. I do not want to work in a hospital. I don't want to work around, even in a nursing home. I don't want to work in any industry that abuses people and it's not about actually caring for them. And you're right, we do abuse. The medical industry has abused many people. We have had many instances. It's COVID vaccine is only one thing. We used to have people forgot about the opiate pandemic, and we're still in it. OxyContin, what Purdue Pharma did to the whole FDA, the whole pharmaceutical industry. They were responsible for lying about a product they knew was addictive. And this is the same industry that sold the same product to Pfizer and Moderna and everything else. And we're supposed to sit here and believe that this time they're not lying to you. And this time they're not going to lie for their benefit and their money. And yeah, people are honestly forgot that. I remember when liberals were mad at that, when people on the left were actually against the whole situation, because now we're seeing it's really deadly. But stuff's changed. And yeah, the medical industry has abused people. Like, I don't support it. I do not want to be a part of that. I want to actually heal people. Why? I want to give birth to babies and not in a hospital setting. Mm-hmm. I believe in natural medicine. I do think there's good things, like, there were doctors and nurses that fought. Without Dr. Malone and those doctors, we've had any of the information we have today. So it's a blessing. But at the same time, the masses, they definitely used it for their gain. They definitely decided that, we are going to pump a product, and not even just the vaccine, how we took care of COVID when it was with the, what was it called? When we didn't have any of the, breathing machines, I forgot. The ventilators. There you go. The ventilators, when we ran out of that, and we learned very quickly, within months, nurses saw that was actually killing people. And we didn't want to admit that we were wrong. So we quickly shifted to that, and then we shifted to the vaccine. And this whole process, we've been making so many fuck-ups, and no one has cared or stood up and said, hey, this is a problem. And while it's me out, it's a great question. Why would I want to? Because I don't want to be like them. I want to be better. I don't want to treat people. I want to care.
You want to go and make a difference. Because I feel like I had to ask that question just to see.
Yeah.
But I feel like in every occupation, there are a lot of people that sometimes go into occupations because it's just a job, and some don't care, but there's always that one or two people that really, really, really genuinely care about what they're doing, regardless of the pay or whatnot, because I believe that there's people that are born to do a particular mission in life. Mm-hmm. And so there's that. So I appreciate your perspective. And I'm glad that I know that once you get into this, should I say that I know that you're actually going to do the morally correct thing, regardless of whatever government agency or the health department tells you to do, right? Because I wish more nurses would have taken that stance and said, you know what? Okay, you guys might be saying this, but morally speaking, this is not okay. This is incorrect and it's wrong.
Yeah, we go through an oath of basically similar to doctors of saying, you have to be honest with a patient and transparency and do no harm. And I feel like we've completely abandoned that because out of fear of a disease, it only took something that we can't even see to switch off all of the morals that we decided to stand on in the medical industry. And yeah, we definitely have to shift soon because people have completely lost all faith in medicine. People don't want to go to the doctor or hospital now. People truly are avoiding it.
I'm one of those people.
I will not go to the.
I only go if I feel like I'm dying.
Unless I'm straight up dying and I'm or if I broke my leg or something that's really serious, I'm not going there. And it sucks that I feel that way as a person that wants to help. But we need more people like that. We need to get out and start, taking care of people. Medicine's about taking care of people.
Right. I recently went to the emergency room because I was in severe pain. Mm-hmm. And the pain had been going on for days and I couldn't even sleep. But if it wasn't for that, I would not have taken myself to the emergency room because but even before this pandemic situation, I had a distrust. Mm-hmm. But this solidified it. My belief, I don't want to go because I feel like it's just like a business. And if they cure anybody, if you don't have a customer if you cure me of my issue.
It's about curing. It's not, it's about keeping you going.
Right.
It's not about.
Mm-hmm. But tell me a little bit, I said, I think you told me about you had issues with your family members or your dad or your mom or somebody.
I had issues with some of my family members, not exactly issues, but during the pandemic when I was staying with my dad, at the time, emotions were high. And now time's kind of passing. And even so, now I kind of just try to text him little nuggets of information of things that are happening now when things have calmed down. And, you know, he, even because I was protesting with you in a different protest, and I would show him pictures and videos of things that I've done, and he'd be like, you know, I may not agree with you, but I'm, you know, I'm proud. Like, I'm supportive that you're using your voice. And, you know, and yeah, like, he didn't honestly believe it. He thought, well, a lot of times I know, you know, Black and brown people who've gotten vaccinated, their reason is, well, they're giving it to white people. So if it was going to hurt everybody, then why would they do it? You know, why would they do it? Why would they do something that's going to kill everybody? And I'm like, you're under like a situation that we're still trying to just go after one group of people. It's a global thing. This has nothing to do with one specific person or one specific group of people. If this was like just a pandemic in Africa or something, then yes, okay, maybe then they're, you know, not, they're trying to do something towards one person, but this is like everybody. Like, they're getting everybody. It has nothing to do with just you. So I know a lot of people that he honestly believed that. Like, you know, why would... And the fact that they put also diverse people in front of our camera for like the CDC and everybody. We saw brown faces. You saw Black doctors tell you that it was safe. They did that on purpose.
Right.
And that's exactly why I felt like it was safe. Because people were, you know, people that look like you. Why would they do that? Why would they give you something that's going to hurt everybody? You know, we are going through so much racism in the country right now. Like, why would they hurt everybody? Like, because like that's the goal. Like, the goal is to control everyone. It used to just be to control the small because they have to try it on one person first. But now it's everywhere now.
It's spread.
It's everywhere. We're all gonna, you know, we're all under an umbrella right now, and it's even just because the pandemic is quote unquote over. It's not. Like, right now, in a couple of days, they're going to sign a treaty that is basically gives the WHO permission to do anything they want during a pandemic. Everything they want to do, including controlling information and like locking people down and whole countries and cities and like taking land, and like these things are ending. Like, this is just the beginning. I just wish more people would just be a little bit more aware of it and try to like, use your voice. Like, it's okay. I didn't think before this pandemic I'd have a voice to say something, but who knew? Like, me screaming down the block about like, no vaccine mandates, like, really found my voice. Like, use it. People do hear you. It does make change, even if you're just, you know, even if it's just a protest, it does do something. So
no, yeah. Amaya, thank you so much for agreeing to do this, and I hope that people, regardless of whatever your race is or political affiliation, that they can actually sit down and hear what you're saying, because it's worth listening to, and people need to realize all the tactics that were implemented and used against every single one of us, and understand this has nothing to do with race. This has nothing to do with left or right. This is about a group of elite groups thinking that they're better than us, and so therefore they are going to launch psychological as well as biological and chemical warfare on the people. And I sincerely hope that more people start to wake up for the sake of humanity and for the sake of the next generation. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.